What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. We are talking double game weeks once again. We have the double game week 36 and double game week 37 announcement to talk about. So this is going to be my reactions, initial thoughts on what's been announced, what the fixtures look like, and all that good stuff. We don't have absolutely every single fixture. I hate to say it to you, but we have most of what we're going to need. We're going to be able to start planning from now all the way pretty much until game week 38, almost at least. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you are new. So this is what double game week 36 looks like. As all the double game week and blank planners have been saying, James from Planet FPL, Ben Crellin and Lego Mane on Twitter, that this was going to be a big double game week, and it is. There's 10 teams doubling in total. So let me quickly run through them. Watford have got Palace at home, Everton at home. Not bad. If you got Ben Foster possibly on the bench, you could play him. Maybe he's your bench boost option as well. But I don't think we're really looking at too many other Watford players. Dennis was on the bench the other day. Josh King just hasn't been a great option for any of us this season. So I don't think we're looking at Watford. Everton's double's not bad. Leicester away, Watford away. Again, we're going to have to see them come into some kind of form, but it's all right. Villa, Burnley away, decent. Liverpool at home, tough. But obviously, if you're carrying Villa players through, it might be okay. Liverpool's isn't great on paper, but I think Spurs at home, at Anfield, not too bad. And Villa away, you're going to be more than happy to play the likes of Trent, Salah, etc. in that double game week. Leeds is difficult. Arsenal away, and Chelsea at home. A little bit annoying because I was hoping this was going to go into double game week 37 because they would have had Brighton at home, Chelsea at home, which would have been a little bit better. But if you're free hitting this week, you're probably not going to hold any Leeds players. Chelsea have got Wolves at home, Leeds away. A common theme throughout, I mean, for the rest of the season pretty much, but in this video is going to be obviously European minutes and stuff like that could take or could mean that players don't necessarily play as much as they usually would. So Wolves at home and Leeds away looks great on paper if you can nail down 2 to 3 Chelsea players that are going to play both of those games, or at least get good minutes over the course of the double game week. Leicester's is pretty good. We know they've got really good fixtures to end the season. Everton at home, Norwich at home. Same thing applies to them with Europe. Obviously, the good thing is we don't have to make all our decisions this week before game week 32. One of the things I'm trying to do is actually roll transfers possibly into kind of 32, 33, 34. Not necessarily all those weeks, but by the time we get to game week 34 and we've seen kind of Europe and stuff, what's happened there, which teams have gone through, what their draws are for the next round, we can start making some bigger decisions. So I do think game week 34 is going to be a bit of a turning point in terms of people wildcarding and obviously the rest of us trying to kind of play catch up and stuff like that. So I'm really trying to get 2 free transfers going into game week 34. But for the teams that are in Europe, like Chelsea, like Leicester on this list, they're going to play 1 European game this week. Then they're going to play game week 32, and then they're going to play the second leg before game week 33. So we could see some of the teams in Europe potentially get knocked out by game week 33. That, from an FPL point of view, would help us. Obviously, if they go through, then there's more chances of minutes being managed, benchings and stuff like that for the next round of European games. So that's something to keep in mind. Norwich will just skip over. I mean, Pookie possibly, West Ham at home, Leicester away, but outside of that, we're not really looking at anyone. Spurs' double's fairly tough. We knew that was coming. Liverpool away, Arsenal at home. It doesn't mean that you need to panic if you've got triple Spurs and no free hit, but I think if you were going to free hit, you probably wouldn't have Kane and Son and Doherty or Kulusevski, whoever it might be. You might just keep like 1, possibly 2 of them, but there's quite a few other good fixtures or good combinations of fixtures on here where you probably wouldn't want the triple up. And if you're still holding Arsenal players from the double game that they had in 29, they played in game week 30, etc., Leeds at home is a pretty good fixture. Spurs away maybe not quite so much, but again, if you're someone without a free hit, carrying these players through is probably not going to be that bad. If you are free hitting, Arsenal could be worth looking at getting rid, possibly from kind of game week 34, because if we quickly go to the FPL page, in 34 they got Man United at home, and 35 they got West Ham away. It's nothing to say they can't do the business in those games, right, and get good results, but they're not quite as good as the fixtures they've had, because although they played Chelsea in 33, it's part of a double game week. So you could, if you're free hitting in 36, maybe look to sell some of your Arsenal players in 34, 35, and then free hit them back in game week 36 if you wanted to, right? So that's the full list of fixtures for 36. Just some initial thoughts. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea all look pretty good to carry through, to aim your transfers with. Again, I think with Arsenal, you're not necessarily looking to bring them in, but you're probably looking to not necessarily offload them. I think the best fixtures outside of that are Leicester and Everton. Again, I know right now trying to sell you Everton players is going to be tough. I'm just saying, don't completely write them off. You never know, okay? If the fixtures are good enough, strange things can happen. They could win games, get you FPL points. Free hit 36 isn't needed. It never was needed, to be honest. I think if you're someone without a free hit, you're going to be able to manage the end of the season. Like, if we just bring the fixtures back up quickly, a lot of people got double or triple Liverpool. A lot of people have got double or triple Arsenal. So you're looking at kind of 2 to 6 players already. And then you've got Spurs players as well. That brings you up to kind of maybe 7, 8 players before you start trickling in a few others from elsewhere. So I think if you haven't got the free hit, I wouldn't be panicking about it. None of what's been announced today, at least in my initial reactions, initial thoughts, really changes like my mind about, you know, free hit 33 versus 36. I think we already kind of knew what was going to be announced, so it shouldn't really swing your thoughts too much either way. Triple Spurs definitely not needed, but they do have good fixtures outside of Double Game Week 36. So they are one of those teams where if you are free hitting, you could get rid of a few, maybe all of them, depending on how you want to build your Game Week 36 team, and then have them for the fixtures around that. The only thing I don't know is where the bench boost players are coming from. I've put the likes of Foster, Holgate, Ben White, Gordon and Ramsey. But again, going back to these fixtures, there's not a huge amount of cheap players that you'd actually want. Like Leeds defenders, nobody wants them. Watford obviously haven't been doing much recently or at all this season. Like Ben Foster possibly, but there's not a huge amount. So right now, I've not given Wildcard 34 a lot of thought. We'll look at that a bit more when we get closer to the time, but the bench boost might not be as easy as we maybe first imagined. I think the fact that Burnley, for example, aren't doubling in 36, you know, that would have made it a bit easier. The likes of Roberts at 4.4, 4.5, whatever price he is now, would have been nice, but it's still going to be doable. You're still going to be able to put together a decent bench boost, I'm sure. Then we've got Double Game Week 37. Some of the fixtures here look pretty nice. So as you'll know, or as you'll notice, some of these teams are back-to-back doubling. So they're doubling in 36 and in 37. I'm going to show you them in just a sec. Everton, Brentford at home, Palace at home. Again, nice set of fixtures. Crystal Palace, who have got pretty good fixtures now for the rest of the season. Watford at home, Everton away. I quite like that. Villa, Palace at home, Burnley at home. Burnley's doubles in 37. It's quite tricky. Spurs away and Villa away. Like, I don't think that's a double that's... Like, if you've got other transfers to do and you can hold on to the likes of Weghorst up until 37, I don't think it's an issue to play him that week, but it's not going to be worth putting off selling him just to have him for that. And again, if you got Nick Pope, you'd probably just hold him, of course, but for Weghorst, probably not so much. So let's see whether there's any chance of selling before then. He's not necessarily a bad hold either. Chelsea, Man United away, Leicester at home. They're both pink fixtures on the fixture tickets. I put the same colour fixtures for everyone. But ultimately, that's not too bad. It is worth noting that there are some fixtures that could still move. So I think Chelsea versus Man United is one of them. But it's all going to depend on European results and FA Cup results and stuff like that. And then Leicester, Watford away is good. Chelsea away is obviously a bit more difficult. But with Leicester and 3 other teams, they back-to-back double in game week 36 and 37. So this is their 36 fixtures plus their 37 fixtures. So Everton are going to play Leicester, Watford, Brentford and Palace in the space of 2 game weeks. And because they're fighting relegation, of course, right, player recovery and stuff like that absolutely comes into it. You can't just keep playing a player over and over again if they're absolutely fatigued. But I think when you're battling relegation, players hopefully will find a way to step up. And maybe by game week 36, Everton are safe. The bottom 3 are just never going to get out of it. But if they're not, then the likes of Calvert-Lewin, I know, completely rubbish right now, like most of the Everton players, but who knows, right? Fixtures sometimes breed a bit of form, bit of FPL points. Leicester, Watford, Brentford, Palace, they are fixtures I can get behind. So I'm not completely ruling out Everton players. And we should definitely be looking at Villa players as well. Burnley, Palace, and... they got Burnley twice. Kind of tricked me for a second. Burnley away, Burnley at home. And in between, they got Liverpool at home and Palace at home. One thing to think about with these 4 teams, if you haven't got a free hit, these players or these teams could be a nice way to get extra double game weekers without having to worry about the people that have got a free hit. Again, the caveats apply that Chelsea and Leicester have got 4 games in 2 weeks, but they could both still be in Europe, and there could be a lot of rotation. So just to finish off, Chelsea would have Wolves at home, Leeds away, and then Man United away, Leicester at home. So again, if you knew that there was going to be Chelsea players playing all 4 of those games, possibly Mendy, maybe, although he's at times been kind of rested for Kepa, they're not bad. They're not bad fixtures at all. And then Leicester have got Everton, Norwich, Watford, which is really nice. And obviously, okay, Chelsea away is difficult, but when you got 3 really good fixtures in the space of 2 game weeks, plus just an extra one as a bonus, that's pretty nice. And if they get knocked out of Europe, then suddenly doubling up on maybe Maddison and Barnes, possibly a defender, maybe Schmeichel, suddenly looks better. So don't be... The one thing I would say is don't be too stubborn. Yeah, right now, yes, absolutely. I'm not buying Everton players. They don't look great. The fixtures aren't great. But when you get to game week 36, suddenly they're pretty decent. They might be worthwhile looking at. And I would look at the fixtures kind of in and around it. I don't know why I was looking at Saka then. So for Everton, for example, you're absolutely, I would say, they haven't updated the fixtures yet, but you're not bringing them in probably for Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. But from game week 36 onwards, they could be worth looking at. With Villa, for example, you might be thinking, well, I want to get rid of them. They got Spurs and a blank. But if you could bench your Villa players, if you can get in the other players that you want and bench them, well, then they've got Leicester, not bad. Norwich, not bad. And then they double in 36 and double in 37. That's a pretty good fixture run for Villa players. So I would definitely kind of at least start trying to have a think about which players you want, when you're going to bring them in, and stuff like that. Few thoughts. As I've said a lot, Europe could definitely affect the minutes of any team that's still in Europe. Same with Liverpool, same with Man City, but more so I think for Chelsea and Leicester. Free hit 37 might be viable, especially if you're happy going into 36 with the likes of your kind of double, triple Spurs, double, triple Liverpool, Arsenal, etc. Then you might be able to get away without using the free hit if you think your team looks good enough. And we'll come on to Man City in just a minute. And then you could free hit in game week 37 instead, especially if you don't want to be left with kind of Villa players and Everton players. Because for Villa, for example, okay, the triple up doesn't look bad. Norwich, back to and then double, and then another double. But in game week 38, they play Man City, and obviously you can't just then go and take loads of hits to get rid of them. So it might be worth possibly just loading up your game week 36 team with the likes of Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, maybe some Chelsea players, maybe Man City if they end up doubling there as well, and then free hitting in the like players like Villa and Everton players for Palace at home, Burnley at home, Brentford at home, Palace at home. That might be the better way to do it. So free hit 37 is not completely off the table. I wouldn't, again, if you've been stuck on or locked into game week 36 free hit, you might move. Depends how your team is kind of set up. Yeah, if Everton can get some kind of form going, they could be decent back-to-back. Captaincy's tricky without Chelsea players, I think, in game week 37, so have a think about who you might captain. I'm guessing a lot of people will go kind of Coutinho, Watkins, could be Calvert-Lewin, could be Zaha. Watford at home, Everton away, not that bad. But I don't think, because Man United away and Leicester at home is not completely easy, especially like a lot of us would love to captain Reece James, for example, but if they're in Europe and they got Man United away, Leicester at home, I don't think that's a player you probably want to go for. So the top 3 teams there, Everton, Palace and Villa, are probably where the captain is going to come from. And if Man City got moved into double game week 37, that might make the free hit in 37 a little bit more tempting. It's worth saying, this is from Ben Krellin, we don't have every single piece of info fixture-wise that we need to start planning. We have most of it. Game week 35 will be, he reckons it will be a double game week for Palace and Villa if Palace reach the FA Cup final. So if they beat Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final, the doubles for Villa and Palace will move. Okay, so that's worth noting. I'll go into a bit more detail in that on another video. Man City, we still don't know if they're going to double in 36 or 37. Same for Wolves. Basically, Man City have got Newcastle and I think it's West Ham. So it's Newcastle in 36, West Ham in 37. And they've got Wolves to rearrange. The problem is, Wolves aren't the problem. The fact that Man City are in the FA Cup and Europe and West Ham are also still in Europe is what's causing the problem and why we don't yet know when they're going to play. So if Man City double in 36, that kind of makes free hit pretty damn good if you're not already loaded up with loads of the players from the big teams. But if they go into 37, that kind of changes things a little bit. I don't think Wolves doubling is going to change our plans too much at all. I don't think we're going to be targeting too many of them. But obviously, if you're holding Sarr or something like that, it could be, it could be an interesting option possibly. But I don't think it's really going to matter because one of the fixtures is going to be Man City anyway. And then West Ham could double in 36 and blank in 37. They could also just play one game in 36 and one game in 37. So it's good. we got most of the info now, not all of it, but we can start putting plans together. Like earlier on, I was talking about how, yeah, I've got my Villa players for their doubling 34. I'm going to keep them. I'm not going to buy Man City players. Well, now I need to go and rethink my plans. So that was my initial thoughts and reactions. Hopefully it was helpful. You can go and start planning. I'm going to talk about this a lot more over the coming days in different videos. Team selection, I'm going to talk about my transfer plans, not just for this week, but future weeks as well. So if you did enjoy that, please do give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Let me know below if you've got any comments on this, what it means for your free hit plans, transfer plans, and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.